Now it's time to move on to scales of measurement. These are the way we measure our data. The scales are divided generally into two categories. The first category is non-continuous or qualitative data, also called categorical data. The other type is called continuous or quantitative data. Each of these has two subtypes. So in continuous quantitative data, the big difference there, the big characteristic is that you can calculate an arithmetic mean of this data. So it's a list of numbers, 2, 7, 8, 20, 13, 49, and you can calculate a mean of that data. As opposed to categorical data up here that are simply categories, like gender. So if I have a room full of 40 students, I can't calculate the mean of the women in the room. I just can't do it, because female as opposed to male are simply categories. What I can do is I can count the number of females compared to males. I can even take a percentage of the number of females in the room compared to all the students in the room. But I can't take a mean. So something like gender, hair color, eye color, political affiliation, these are all categories that you cannot calculate a mean of and fall under categorical data. Now, categorical data is subdivided into nominal and ordinal scales. So nominal are straight categories. Yes/no answers on a survey, if they get to choose A, B, and C, true or false, gender like we just talked about, straight categories with no ranking. There's no way you could say that one is better than the other. As opposed to that is ordinal scale. The ordinal scale is categories but with some ranking. And the best example of this are the Olympic medals. We all know the Olympic medals are gold, silver, and bronze. We all know gold is the best, silver is second best, and bronze is the third best. But the difference between gold, silver, and bronze is not equal. If you ever watch any sort of track and field or a swimming event, sometimes the difference between first place and second place is the distance of about a fingernail. And then the difference between second and third place is almost a whole hand. So they don't have equal distances between them. We know one is better than the others, but we can't calculate the mean of the number of gold medals at an event. We can just count them or calculate percentages. So ordinal is categorical data with some ranking. Now let's move on to quantitative data. There are two scales here, interval and ratio. The difference between these two things is something called a true zero. A true zero means if you have zero of this data, you have no more of it. It really means no more data. And a lot of stuff falls into that category. So if you took a quiz in this class worth 25 points and you got no answers correct, and you got a 0 on that quiz, that would be a true zero. There's no data to work with. As opposed to that, we have something called the interval scale. This we can calculate a mean of, but there is no true zero. Body temperature, any sort of temperature measure, is an ideal example for this. I know you've all come from San Diego, most of you, or you've been living in the area, and I usually ask the question in class, how many have been in 0-degree temperature, and usually only about 4 or 5 hands are raised. 0 degrees is not the absence of temperature. It is merely an arbitrary place on a line. We can still calculate a mean of that data, of temperature data, but because it doesn't have a true zero, it's called interval scale data. So we have nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio scales.